What comic book fan hasn't spent their childhood dressing up as their favorite superhero, imagining what it'd be like to swing from building to building? In fact, dressing up like your favorite superhero has become a whole scene unto itself. The closest anyone could get to being Iron Man or Thor would be playing those characters on the big screen as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It'd be a pretty sweet gig. But it's not all red carpets and big paychecks. There are some difficulties portraying Earth's mightiest heroes. Let's take a look at a few. As we all know, Spider-Man can do whatever a spider can. It's in the song. This includes webs of any size that catches thieves just like flies and an uncanny ability to avoid danger. Scientists refer to this ability as having eyes. Spider-Man's eyes are an iconic part of the wall crawler's look. Artists have used the many shapes to express the emotions of Spider-Man in the pages of the comics for years. In the MCU, that adjustability has been explained as a way for Peter to control the heightened sensory input his powers give him. For actor Tom Holland, they have another role to play, as the only way he can get a drink. Turns out that a superhero costume has to look cool, but that doesn't always mean they're designed for practical concerns like hydrating. So when Holland needs a drink, he has to take his left eyepiece out and run a straw down to his mouth. Once you don the mask, mantle, or armor of a superhero, you now represent that superhero to millions of fans across the globe, big and small. It's the small ones that look up to their live-action superheroes the most, and the ones that the actors look after the most. Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, is a big fan of who else but the New England Patriots. He and one of Marvel's other Chris's, Chris Pratt, who is a Seattle Seahawks fan, made a bet over the Super Bowl, the loser having to appear in character at a children's hospital in the winner's hometown. These kinds of in-character visits are commonplace for the people who portray Earth's mightiest heroes. Portraying a superhero on the screen has come a long way since the earliest serial adaptations, where you'd slap some spandex on an actor in passable shape and call it a day. These days, audiences want their heroes to look the part in and out of the costume. Actor Chris Pratt had to lose 60 pounds in 6 months, which involved 3 to 4 hours a day of tough workouts. Even for the already fitness-loving Chris Evans, he reported that his workouts sometimes left him throwing up, they were so difficult. Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr. had to go in the other direction, eating 5,000 calories a day while increasing weight training to pack on 25 pounds of muscle. Of course, there's more to portraying a superhero than just looking good without a shirt. All those muscles aren't just there to distract Jane Foster, they're there to fight the bad guys, which requires another level of intense training. Sure, the villains aren't actually fighting you, and the moves are planned out ahead of time, but in order to make the fights look real and exciting, the actors have to learn real fighting techniques and then carefully practice the choreography to translate those fights on the big screen. Actor Chadwick Boseman, in preparation to take on the mantle of Black Panther, studied with Guru Marez Crump and Jiu-Jitsu Grandmaster Bill McLeod, as well as Marvel's fight choreographer on top of his physical training for the role. Crump and Boseman not only had to train to fight, but come up with the unique fighting style of the Wakandan King and Protector. One of the strengths of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been its ability to attract creative talent to make their movies. While they haven't been complete unknowns before making theirs Marvel, many of them have worked in smaller arenas before taking on the blockbuster comic book movie. But as that franchise has become the carefully curated juggernaut that we know, a lot of the creative control has also been carefully guided from the top. For every actor who adds a cockatoo to their character like Mickey Rourke, there's an actor like Edward Norton who had most of his added dialogue lines removed from the final product. Eventually, it comes down to Kevin Feige and the studios who have carefully crafted a brand they want to protect. Whether you think it's a limit on creativity or to prevent too many cooks from spoiling the broth depends largely on what side of the camera you're on. While being an actor can be a glamorous job, it doesn't tend to come with a lot of job security. As the saying goes, you're only as good as your last movie. That is, unless you're in one of the biggest film franchises in movie history. In order to make a shared universe work, characters have to carry over from one film to the next. While some faces can change from one film to the next, continuity of actors helps create continuity in the audiences. In the past, if a movie had franchise potential, an actor might be signed on to a sequel or maybe even 2. For his role as Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson was signed on for 7 and had that contract extended. For actors like Chris Evans, who like to keep his options open, signing on for that many movies took some consideration. In big studio movies and even small movies, reshoots are a fact of life. Sometimes it's a matter of getting into post-production and realizing you didn't get the shots you needed. Others, it's finding out that sweet ending you had planned didn't land well with test audiences. Oh, test audiences, can you ever truly be satisfied? Regardless of why, they can be a real pain for the production. For smaller films, they can often result in a lot of negotiating with the stars who have already moved on to other projects. For a massive franchise like Marvel, the pain is for the actors because the inevitable reshoots are part of their contracts, and regardless of what they're doing, they have to come back and suit up for whatever was missing. Even if you just came back from playing Nelson Mandela in South Africa and have to switch gears back into your role as Heimdall for Thor reshoots. Not everything about that multi-picture deal means you'll be playing big, meaty superhero roles. Sometimes the shared universe just entails being a part of the world, even if that story isn't about you. Before the events of Civil War that saw America's brand name hero giving up his shield and going into hiding, Captain America was the role model hero. Not far from this fake punching Hitler days as a war bonds mascot, the unfrozen Captain America had to lend his wholesome image to the most dreaded of all ephemeral media, the school public service announcement. This meant that Chris Evans had to don the Stars and Stripes again to film a series of PSAs that helped tie Spider-Man Homecoming to the larger MCU. Ah, those were the days. We miss you already, Spidey. Chris Evans has been no stranger to this kind of brief appearance. He's also a favorite of the trickster Loki to turn in to mock his fellow foes. At this point, you might almost imagine that a Marvel movie can promote itself. There are entire websites and YouTube channels dedicated to parsing out every rumor and announcement about their film lineup as they happen. Some of them are quite good and very entertaining. Hit that subscribe button. The actors are required to take part in lengthy press junkets, as well as talk show appearances and multiple openings, not just in the United States, but in other countries where the films open. After months of shooting and even more months of the film's post-production, the actors have to go out on the road and make sure people come out to see those movies, with almost as a grueling schedule. There was a time in Hollywood that an actor's secrets were carefully controlled by the studios that hired them. The studios would even employ famous gossip columnists like Hedda Hopper to release information about their stars as well as cover for some of their more unsavory indiscretions. The studio system eventually collapsed, and the gossip columnists fell out of favor until the 80s when celebrity gossip found a new life, but this time with a bigger taste for those indiscretions. With its spanning franchises and multi-picture deals, Marvel Studios resembles the studios of old, but they still don't have the staffed gossip columnists to control the message. Instead, they employ extensive background checks on their new actors, especially the lesser-known ones, to make sure they don't have a habit of leaking information, unless you're adorable about it like Tom Holland, or there isn't something off-brand for the Disney-owned giant, something Ebony Maw actor Tom Von Lawler learned when he got his role. Some actors in a Marvel movie can't be portrayed by simply painting an actor green and giving him a pair of tattered jeans. Not since the 70s, at least. That's where CGI steps in and makes the bigger-than-life characters. Despite criticism for superhero movies' reliance on CG, however, the preference is to have a real actor on the screen. For that look, the actors have to spend some time in the chair. The makeup chair. Dun dun dun! It can be a long process, which involves attaching prosthetics, then paint, then blending the makeup, so it all looks as natural as possible. Then there's making sure that it looks exactly the way it did in the previous shots. It can take hours of sitting still as artists apply all of this while telling anxious production assistants that it will be done when it's done. Makeup can be only the beginning of an actor's day as a Marvel superhero. Once their faces are properly alien or mutant or whatever, the next stop is the costume department where they have to suit up in their superhero suits. Early in the MCU, most of the Iron Man suits were actual suits that Robert Downey Jr. wore. But by Iron Man 3, he was wearing what they called a football suit. And that was just key pieces with CGI filling in the rest. Others haven't been so lucky. Paul Bettany and Chris Evans both have had difficulty wearing their costumes covering their ears, and most actors had to deal with heat in their stifling costumes. Evangeline Lilly pointed out that women are more accustomed to being uncomfortable to look good, but even their costumes have additional challenges. Captain Marvel actor Brie Larson noted that she had to go to the bathroom. It took a team of 5 to help her. One of the unheard moves that made George Lucas a mogul with Star Wars was retaining the merchandising rights to his space opera. At the time, it was an easy sell for the studio because while film merchandising wasn't new, it also wasn't big business. As it turns out, Star Wars, they kind of changed all that. While its line of action figures, playsets, toys, memorabilia, and more, Star Wars set the model for modern merchandising, often making more than the movie itself. With a property like Marvel, toys and action figures can be a huge part of the overall marketing of the movie. Toys are big business now, and tie-ins are essential. This means that the actors aren't done with that superhero life when the cameras stop filming. They also have to be available for modeling to make all those toys in their likeness. It's not all bad though, as the actors get royalty on their images as well. Once upon a time, there was a gathering of comic book fans, artists, and collectors in downtown San Diego That was a chance to mingle with like-minded people and trade rare issues of their favorite comic books. Over time, San Diego Comic-Con has grown to a premier pop culture event that companies use to market their properties and make announcements, like legendary Hall H, where Marvel announced the lineup for the MCU's Phase 4 titles, including shows on their upcoming Disney Plus streaming service. This has made the event a must-attend for many studios, fans, and press. Even for a normal fan or a member of the fan press, the main floor can be a tricky and difficult thing to navigate. For a Marvel star, it can be almost impossible. One of the luxuries that comes with the pages of a comic book is that the character can look like whatever the artist wants it to. It goes beyond blue skin or forehead antenna. A walking and talking tree? Sure. An angry bipedal raccoon? Why not? When it comes to the big screen, however, it's not quite as simple as that. There's no amount of makeup that's going to make Bradley Cooper look like a raccoon or Vin Diesel look like a tree. For all their characters to appear in the movie, the actors themselves don't actually appear on set. Their parts are recorded separately in sound booths, while a variety of stand-ins are used on set to represent where their CGI counterparts will go. This means that their fellow actors are often acting to a grip carrying a ball or a stuffed raccoon that will eventually be Rocket. A Marvel adventure can take its actors to some fantastic locations that don't actually exist. As cool as it might be flying aircraft carriers, they just don't exist in real life. And if they did, they might be hard for a movie to secure for filming. There are places that exist entirely in the imagination, like the planet Titan or Nowhere, the place where the Guardians go to bring the Collector the Power Stone. These locations are achieved through a fluke of early filmmaking that noticed when reduced to negative black and white, a particular shade of blue would show up as clear. Through a complicated series of processing, that meant that an element could be superimposed over another image. Now computers can separate out specific colors, often green as that's the easiest, but it does require the actors to pretend they're in an alien world talking to a raccoon instead of a green room talking to a reference tennis ball. Multi-picture deals are meant to retain the continuity from one film to the next, to help bring the idea of a shared universe to life. When it's the same Captain America from Captain America and the Avengers movies, in the Spider-Man movies, you know it's the same universe. Or was, at least. But that continuity of actors is not as important as the continuity of the character. And the studio is the final arbiter of how important that character is versus how important the actor might be. Edward Norton was replaced by a more studio-friendly Mark Ruffalo for the role of Bruce Banner, when Norton became more than the studio wanted to deal with. While Terrence Howard was the first one cast in the first MCU movie Iron Man as Tony Stark's friend and confidant Rhodey Rhodes. When the second movie came around, the studio felt that the character wasn't as important as they first thought. When they cut to pay for Howard, he walked away, and James Rhodes was played by Don Cheadle. While studios like to tease out as much information about their upcoming movies as they can to get fans excited, they still want to hold key details close to their chests in order to give audiences those big surprises that drives them to the theaters to see the movies in the first place. In the age of the internet, with fans clamoring for details and websites and YouTube channels looking for any hints or rumors about the upcoming movies, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Franchises have gone to extreme measures to keep their secrets, even from their actors. While the shared universe generally involving so many characters across so many movies, lots of actors can appear in a single film, but not always together. But what they know of these movies will often only be the part they're in, even going so far as to not knowing who they're talking to or shooting scenes that don't actually exist. There are some that say an actor's greatest asset is their face. Studios can use the recognizable face of an actor to sell their film, placing their image large on the poster for fans to go, "Hey, that guy's in this, I should totally watch it." Except if your big role has you looking like a big purple space alien or someone with giant eyes and empathic antenna. Without looking him up, could you pick out Ebony Maw actor Tom Von Lawler from a crowd? It might make that Comic-Con main floor walk a lot easier, but convincing people you were Thanos' hype man in Infinity War at the pub or on the next movie poster is a little bit more difficult. This also means you have to rely on CGI to capture your emotions or other acting tools to convey the character you're playing, which can be a challenge for actor and artist alike. When your knowledge of the film is restricted to only your own part, you still know more than the studio would like than the rest of the world to know until they buy a ticket and experience it in the theater. This means that the studio insists that the actors keep their mouths shut about what happens in the movie, while also having to go out and tell people about the movie they were in. This provides a difficult minefield of what the actors can and cannot say in interviews and appearances that's not always easy to navigate. For a young and eager actor like Tom Holland, it can become nearly impossible. Those are some of the challenges being a Marvel actor has. Are you still up for it? What do you think would be the hardest, or what pitfall did we leave out? Let us know in the comments, and while you're there, why not hit that subscribe button? There's nothing hard about that. Thanks for watching.